Hi guys, Marijka, Mountain Public Library, back with you today for another book recommendations for books that fit into the mystery, adventure, or horror genres. So today we're going to start with The Witches by Roald Dahl. This is a story about a boy whose parents have just died. So he has to live with his grandmother, but they require that they live in the house that he came from so he can continue to go to school where he was going. His grandmother is very eccentric and informs him that witches are real and that they despise children. They despise them to the point of trying to just rid the earth of them. So it's very hard to tell who might be a witch and who's not a witch, but thankfully his grandma knows the tells and what sets them apart. Because they're very good at disguising themselves. So she knows how to find them for the most part. But after he runs into some witches, they turn him into a mouse. So he stays a mouse too, so that's kind of fun. So this is a really fun story about this boy, his grandma, him now being a mouse, and together them trying to get back at the witches. So I do know that there is a new movie out that is based off of this book. There's an older movie also. So I do suggest that if you plan on watching it, that maybe this is a book you read first. So this is The Witches by Roald Dahl. The next book today that we have is Mr. Lemoncellos Library. This is by Chris Grabenstein. So Mr. Lemoncellos, this is gonna be fun since I can't ever say anyone's name. Mr. Lemoncello is a billionaire. So, and he made his money coming up with these like wacky and crazy games. And he would have never been able to do them without the help of his local library. So he decides in the community that he's in that doesn't have a library that he's going to build his own library. So the local kids will love libraries as much as he does and as much as everyone should, because libraries are pretty amazing. So once the library is finished, he runs an essay contest, and the winners will get a chance or will get to spend the night in the library and like experience the amazingness of this library, because it's not just like a regular library. He's also taken his love of games and put it in the library. So after a fun night of games and prizes, the kids wake up to see that leaving the library is a game of its own. So they must work and they decide two teams to figure out how to exit the library. So the winner will get to be in the commercials for the library, and then will also be like handsomely paid. So like quite a bit of money is probably gonna come to them. So this is a really fun adventure about being true, following the rules, and finding friendship. So this is also part of a series. So for everyone who really likes series, because they're amazing, this is Mr. Lemoncello's Library by Chris Grabenstein. So the next book is kind of a neat book. I just love the cover of this book. It makes me happy and sad all at the same time. So this book is called The Wild Robot, and this book is by Peter Brown. So Roz is a robot, and she's the sole survivor of a shipment gone wrong. So her and some other robots were being shipped, and there was a wreckage, and all the robots but her were destroyed. And then these like really curious sea otters came up to investigate the wreckage and accidentally turned Roz on. So now Roz has to navigate the island and befriend the creatures if she is to carry on with whatever a robot is going to do on the island. So, but she knows she's going to be okay because she was programmed to believe everything will be okay. So that's kind of a good benefit there. So, but it's not easy to convince a bunch of wild animals to trust a robot, but eventually she earns her place in this jungle and they come to rely on her as much as she relies on them. So, but when the makers of Roz send out these recovery bots to the wreckage to pick up the parts, she has to choose between the safety and her new home, the safety of her new home, or to go back to where she was made. So this is a really neat story about learning to survive by doing what you know, and sometimes making really hard decisions of doing what's right over what you want. So this is The Wild Robot, and this is by Peter Brown. Okay, the next book that I'm going to bring you is called The Peculiar Incident on Shady Street. This one's by Lindsay Currie. So Tessa Woodward is like not happy at all because her family is moving from the sunny, bright, gorgeous Florida to the very cold, wet, and for most of the year dark Chicago. So she is not happy at all. But once they get into the house, she realizes that like the move to Chicago is the least of her problems right now, because the house that they're in, the lights start flickering, start getting these like really weird drawings on the walls for no reason. And then she starts hearing these noises that are so odd and creepy that she can like literally feel them deep, deep in her bones. So she, that's all like really freaky. But when her brother, one of his like little dolls, starts crying real tears, that's when she starts to realize that like something is going on. And she starts to think that there's like this mystery going on, and someone from the other side beyond the grave is trying to communicate with her and get her to help them solve this mystery. So with 3 new friends that she's met since moving here, they hope to find out like how this house and how Tess is linked to this mystery. So this is a scary book, but not like really, really scary like some of the other books that I have recommended for you. This is more like for an everybody book. Like it's just really kind of like a, a nice sort of scared, where it's not gonna like, freak you out or anything. It's just kind of a decent little nice, mellow, scary book. So this book is called A Peculiar Incident on Shady Street, and it is by Lindsay Currie. So the last book that I have for you today is The Mysterious Benedict Society by Trenton Lee Stewart. So this really weird ad appears in the paper, and all it says is, "Are you a gifted child looking for special opportunities?" Well, it just happens that Rainy Muldoon is a gifted child, and he is looking for special opportunities. So it's really an ad just made for him. So him and his tutor decide that they're going to answer this ad. Them and along with like a dozen other people or so. So when they get there for the testing, it's like all of these weird tests, not like your normal school tests, just crazy tests. And only Rainey and 3 other kids actually pass the test. So these 4 kids are taken by Mr. Benedict, and they're trained to be spies, where they will infiltrate the Learning Institute for the Very Enlightened, which supposedly is just this school that is really bad. That's about all that they know. So while they're there and using their training, they must all use like their individual assets to help save the world. So this book is really crazy, but it's really fun to read also, and it also is a series. But the nice thing about this book is that if you're not into series, you can still read this, because it's a lot of people will say that this book is also just enough. Like, you could just read this book and be okay. So if you're into series, that's awesome, because it is a series. If you're not into series, it finishes up and it doesn't necessarily leave you like needing to know more. If you like the adventure, then you can move on to the other books. If you like to just absorb the one book and know that story, then this is perfect, just this one book. So this is The Mysterious Benedict Society, and it is by Trenton Lee Stewart. So those were my books for you this week. I hope you were interested in at least one of them. And yes, I'll be back next week with some more books. Bye.